Well, the announcement yesterday on the vaccine was very welcome. Does the First Minister acknowledge that there is a danger that that causes people to take their eye off the ball in terms of the spread of this virus? I welcome, I think, the announcement that's going to be made tomorrow in universities, although European universities have been carrying out mass testing for many months and haven't seen the kind of problems we've seen. And specifically, to what's happening in Liverpool with the UK government and being talked about being rolled out elsewhere in terms of mass testing. Is that something that the Scottish Government's looking at? And what's your view in terms of seeing mass testing, particularly in those areas in the west of Scotland that are being impacted worse?
First Minister.
So we are considering all of these things in short. Obviously, students, given the looming Christmas period, are a priority. Health workers, I think Parliament will also debate tomorrow, another priority. And then using testing, whether it is current PCR testing or new testing technology like lateral flow, tactically in outbreak or high prevalence areas is also under consideration. There are some logistical, practical, clinical issues that we have to consider around all of this. The secure supply of some of these devices, the ways in which they can be used most effectively. There is a lower sensitivity, I think, not specific about how specific they are, it's about how sensitive they are, lower than PCR. So in some cases where they're being used, they have to be used more than once in a short space of time, and where people test positive, obviously, often they require to be followed up with a PCR test to confirm that positive. So these are the things we're working through right now. We'll set out the first steps in that around students tomorrow and keep Parliament updated more generally. Finally, on the vaccine, I've like most people in my position, have had to deliver so much bad news over the past 7 months. Forgive me if I've enjoyed the ability to be a bit more positive over the past 24 hours. But of course, there's a long way to go, and I think we all have to be open-eyed about this. But it is good news, and probably, as I said, the best news we've had. But if there is a risk to it, it's that people sit back and say, well, we can just wait for the vaccine and we don't have to bother with the restrictions anymore. That is not the case. We have to right now make sure we stick with all of these restrictions. Frankly, to make sure that by the time we get, hopefully to the spring, and the vaccine is helping us come out the other end of this, we get to that stage with as few lives lost as possible, with as little ill health as possible, and with the burden of COVID being as minimal as we can possibly make it. And that takes all of us continuing to do all of the right things all of the time at the moment.